Something understood. I'm a motherfucking man, nigga. A grown ass man. I got green money signs on my eye. Know what I'm saying? And I'm cute, nigga. Don't get mad because I'm cute. How CMG in there giving it up. We ain't giving it up at all. A nigga ain't playing with me. I ain't never been slapped, raw, played with in this motherfucker. None of that, nigga. I'm in here standing on business. Don't worry about what I'm doing with my dick. You niggas is crazy. And I still take your bitch. Yeah, what y'all wanna know? What, I'm gay? That what y'all wanna know? Yeah, now what? Now what? Yeah, I take a nigga, and I take a bitch, and I take a transgender. Now what? Now play with me. Now play with Corleone like you crazy. Play, I'ma lay your ass down. I put the smack down like Stone Cold Steve Austin around this motherfucker. Y'all know that. Quit playing. Gang, WG shit, CMG shit, Scooter gang. I scare you know.
All right. Shalom, shalom. Keeps a sheep, Brother Kasha. Back with another lesson. Lord's will. This video is edifying. All right. Before we begin, I'd like to first start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom. And shalom to the hopefully elect. All right. Today's lesson will be titled "The Spirit of Sodom and Egypt on Grown Men." All right, something to that effect. All right, and of course, today's lesson is inspired through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. All right, but as you can see, we're making a few points. All right, based off the clip played at the beginning of the video. All right, and yeah, man, we know that spiritually, all right, and we're gonna grab there first, that this place is Sodom and Egypt. All right, and we know what that word Sodom goes into your modern day, basically your modern day LGTB community. All right, you know, man on man, woman on woman. Man can be a woman can be a man, things of that nature. Your moles, right? So this place, all right, spiritually is Sodom and Egypt. All right, meaning it has the same spirit that was upon Sodom and Gomorrah and the same spirit that was upon Egypt. Okay. And it's definitely evident. Okay. All right, it speaks for itself. Okay, these spirits are these men are the same men that was in Sodom, all right, and Gomorrah, and the same men that was in Egypt. Okay, these spirits are back. Okay, Revelation 11:8. Real quick, it says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." So we're back in Egypt. Okay, we're back in Sodom and Gomorrah today. Okay, and in each of these cities, all right, these great cities, all right, you had of course you had your prophets, okay, and you also had your men of the Lord, but you had wicked men, you had evil men. All right, especially in Sodom, okay? You had your moles, okay? And these men, they were exactly like the man in the video. Okay, they were grown men who had the spirit of an effeminate, all right, and a woman, okay? They had the spirit to, you heard what the man said, man. You know, he could take it all. He could take a man, a woman, you know, or whatever. He can take them all, and he's boasting in it. Okay, he's boasting in it. All right, you know, I'm not that old, but I remember coming up, and it would be a shame. You know, men were ashamed of these things. That's why they called it being in the closet, or a DL, all right, down low, because it was something, you didn't want anybody to know about. It was like, it was supposed to be a secret. It was supposed to be a hush hush thing. But now, all right, lately these men are, this is something they take pride in. All right, they're proud of being Mo. Okay, that they're proud of being effeminate. Okay, they're proud of being evil and wicked. Okay, and this is the spirit that Esau wants you in. Okay, he doesn't want you in the spirit of masculinity. He doesn't want you in the spirit at all. Okay, he wants you in a carnal mindset. All right, chasing your lustful and carnal, fleshly desires. Okay, he doesn't want you to be true men of the Lord. All right, and this is a so-called black man. Okay, so this is your Jake. All right, I don't know much about this man. I think he's a rapper supposedly, but looking at him, he's a handsome Jake. He's comely. Okay, he's he's pleasing to look at. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, he doesn't have trouble with women, but these type of men are now becoming moles, and they probably, he's probably been on the DL, man. He's probably been a mo. All right, but now he's taking pride in it, because I guess allegations have went out, and he can't deny it, and or whatever it may be. But these are the men that Esau wants in this type of mindset. He wants you in this. All right, he doesn't want you in the truth on the highways and byways, learning your true nationality. Okay, because ultimately, if this place continues on, this is gonna become the new cool, the new hype. Okay, and you're gonna have more men accepting this, and more people accepting this and becoming like this. This is gonna be the new wave, the new thing, man. Right? But that's why the days have to be shortened, man. All right, and I want to grab another quick precept, because ultimately this is vexing, man. This is vexing, knowing, especially with brothers that have children, and the children are, going on social media, and they seeing this type of stuff, and whatever it may be, man. This is 2 Peter 2. I started verse 4. It said, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment." All right, talking about the elect. It says, "And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, and the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly." All right, so the Lord is in business of destroying the wicked, the ungodly. Okay, it doesn't matter how many people he has to destroy. All right, if the majority of the people are wicked, he's going to destroy a majority of the people. It says, "And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that shall live ungodly." So he destroyed these places, all right, for those who lived ungodly, showing that this is the judgment, the just judgment, the righteous judgment of you moles, man. So how much more this place, America? What do you think is coming to this place? Okay, if he flooded the world, if he burned down Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, what do you think he's gonna do to America, man? Spiritually, Sodom and Egypt, that is. It says, "And delivered just Lot." Remember, Lot was delivered. Remember Lot's wife, all right? Remember Lot's wife? She looked back. It says, "And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversations of the wicked." So this is the conversation of the wicked. That word conversation goes into, like not an exact conversation, but a mannerism, what kind of person you are. All right. So he was vexed just seeing the way people lived. Okay, the way people went about their day to day. All right, their conduct. Okay, this vexed him. And many of us, all right, men of the Lord, when we're part of the number, this vexes us on a day to day. Okay, seeing how people act, talk, especially the wicked, the ungodly. Okay, because for the most part, these people know better. Okay, especially the guy that's in the clip. He knows better. Obviously, he knows better. All right, these people know better, man. It says, for that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing vex his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. Says seeing and hearing. So it's not just a conversation. It's not just talk, but it's the way people live. Okay. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. So, the Lord is allowing this, man, and only for the day of judgment. Okay, so in that day, this is the, this is going to be their reward, man. Okay, death and destruction. It's lucky. This is what the people want. This is what they want, man. And we all know what took place in Sodom and Sodom and Gomorrah. Real quick, I want to touch on that. Okay, so Genesis 19 and start at verse 2. It says, my lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. All right, he prepared meal for them, baking bread. Remember, these are the angels, okay? And Lot was asking them to come to his house and stay the night at his house, because Lot knew that city was wicked. He knew what went on in that city, man. He knew what happened after hours, right? So he was saying, hey, man, come, so the angels went, see. But that was the whole reason the angels coming to see, scope out the scene and see what's going on, right? Because remember, the Lord wasn't going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, but the Lord ultimately knew what was going on. As he already knew what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, but he wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's why he sent the angels to scope it out to see what's what. But you remember they didn't find one righteous man, I believe, except for Lot. That's why Lot was spared. It says, but he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. This might have been around the Passover, maybe. It says baking bread without yeast. It says, before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old. So you had the young moles, the old moles. It says they surrounded the house. They called to Lot. They say, hey, Lot. They say, hey, what those men at? What the men that was, that you was with earlier? The men, I seen the men tonight. Where those men go? He says, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we can have sex with them. But, and I'm reading the the NIV version, man. It says, bring them out so we can have sex with them, man. You know what? And these are men, all right? It says, they called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? These are men outside of the house. Remember, it says, let's go back up. It says, before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. And they called Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? So these are men requesting other men. It says, Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. He had 2 virgin daughters. He was ready to offer them up as wives. It says, let me bring them out to you. Because remember, as a father, that was, basically a father would sell his daughter, okay, to a man. All right, that was marriage. All right, the man would pay for the daughter, all right, that would be his wife. He would take her and they would have sex, but she would have to be a virgin in order to be a wife. It says, look, I have 2 daughters who have slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. What does that mean? You can do what you like with them. He says, but don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. All right, so, Lot knew his house was protected. All right, meaning Lot knew, he was a righteous man, right? He prayed to the Lord. He blessed the Lord. He gave his sacrifices. He did the work, man. Right? Verse 9, it says, get out of our way. They replied, this fellow came as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. He would treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break the door down. So they wasn't budging. They wasn't budging, man. They wanted in. It says, but the men inside the house, but the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house. So the angels, these are angels, remind you, all right, disguised as men. That's why the scripture says, roughly paraphrasing, you have entertained angels unaware, roughly paraphrase. These guys, these men on the outside didn't even realize that these were angels. All right. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. These were angels, man. They had spiritual powers. All right. It says they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness. All right. So how did they strike all these men with blindness, man? With spiritual power, man. Okay. They had spiritual power to strike these men with blindness. They couldn't see. Okay. And basically that's the point on that, man. And you know what happened. The Lord gave Lot the way out. Lot took his family. Lot's wife looked back. She was turned to ashes, turned to Sodom. And that was that, man. So our scripture says, remember Lot's wife, man. Let's get this real quick. Romans 1:27 says, and likewise also the men, all right, leaving their natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one toward another, men with men, working with the unseemly and receiving in themselves their recompense of their error, which was meat. That's error, man. Man with man is error. That's off. That's wrong. That's not correct. That's not order. That's not just. That's not how it goes. The man was created for the woman. The woman was created for the man. All right, Adam and Eve, man. Okay. Well, the woman was created for the man, right? But you know the order. So with that, man, let me see. Yeah, Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, I'll let it close out by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Bahashim, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, Shalom, and Shalom to the hopefully elect.